which is a good segue into our strategies and toolbox that we're going to try to get some specific ways to handle some of these things. And I said, hang tight because my next segment's really going to be on play. And, play, a lot of times people think play is just something that children do, but it's really something that we do across the lifespan. Something that all kids do in one form or another, and adults do too, right? We have hobbies and interests, and it's adult play. It might not be with a shape sorter or train set, but it's certainly things that hold our interest for our own self-amusement, and that's what play is. So I'm hoping some of the strategies we talked about will help her deal with those kind of challenges. And so here is my little segue to play. It's a nice little play happening back and forth. But as we know, with our kiddos with ASD and our individuals and our adults and teens, this doesn't always happen so simply like this, right? I'm very passionate about play and play skills. And it's probably, when I see children that on the younger end is, I tell mom, hold on, I'm going to look like all I'm doing is pulling out toys, but I promise I have, some good research to back me up on what I'm doing. Play is what children do. It is their work. It is their job. It consists of those activities performed for self-amusement that have behavioral, social, and psychomotor rewards. They play with things because they like the feeling it gives them, right? It is child-directed, and the rewards come from within the individual child. It is enjoyable and spontaneous. And I like that specific child-directed, right? Sometimes I have parents that say, well, I got them this, and I took it out. And I'm like, well, no, because if he didn't or she didn't pick that, then that was your choice to play with, and that might not be their interest. So we want to follow the child's lead, or the individual's lead, and make sure that whatever we're playing with is something that appeals to the child, and that it's what the child is picking, right? Why is play important? Play is really the building blocks for so many things in life. Language skills, social and emotional skills, builds problem solving and thinking, so cognitive skills, and builds imagination, right? All of the things on this list are all struggles of individuals with autism spectrum disorder. Everything. Language, social, emotional, problem solving and thinking, imagination, right? So play skills are really an important element for all kids, but especially when we know that these things are lacking a lot of times, right? We're working on all of these at the same time when we play. So this is a good quote from Barry Prezant, who is a leader in communication and autism, and he says, though they come with challenges, enthusiasms often represent the greatest potential for people with autism. What begins as a strong interest or passion become a way to connect with others. And I think that is so important because sometimes, yes, there are perseverative interests. There are repetitive interests, something that they just don't want to break away from. But it's their interest, right? And so I find sometimes if you engage their interests, what are we going for? We're going for the social connection, right? We're going for that social connection, that joint attention. So maybe it's unconventional to you. I mean, I had a kiddo that loved to play in the bean bin, and all he used to like to do was drop beans off his head, right? Well, I mean, okay. So I did not say, hey, would you like my shape sorter? Let's play this. No, I sat next to him and dropped beans on my head, right? And guess what? He was like, whoa, and so thought it was funny, and I got a laugh, and then I got some eye contact as I would do it, and then I would say 1, 2, 3, and we would drop them. And wow, that was a great social interaction, right? So play doesn't have to necessarily be with the best toys. It doesn't have to be, with things that do a whole lot of talking, a whole lot of gadgets. It's really being in the moment with the child or the individual and doing something that they find fulfilling, amusing, and satisfying. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be necessarily with toys that you would expect them to be. I think it's important, And yes, I know sometimes it is hard because it's hard for them to move on And I was talking to Blanca back there, whose son does not like when his trains are taken away, right? He will not even eat unless his trains. I said, well, maybe Thomas gets a plate at the table, right? So maybe we can kind of work the train into what you need him to do without taking it, right? Because when you take it, that, we're going to have some behavior, right, from that, because I don't like when you take my trains away. And that's how he's going to show it, right? So we have to start thinking outside the box about, well, how are we going to get him to the dinner table to eat, right, and leave his trains? Well, maybe we need to bring the train to the table and then fade that out over time, right, when he becomes more comfortable with that routine. So play is a huge part of what we do across the lifespan and what we need to encourage. So here are some strategies to support communication through play. And number one is get down on the floor and be on your child's level face to face. Now, if you have an older child, obviously you might not be on the floor. You might be at the table, right? You might be sitting somewhere else. But really the important thing is to be face to face, right? If you're not face to face, your child cannot see social cues, cannot see non-linguistics. They will not be able to read facial expression. And so you definitely want to be face to face. That also facilitates eye contact too, right? Natural eye contact. I mean, we don't, and there's a difference too there, because people say, well, we want our kids to have eye contact, but we don't want our kids staring, because that's not socially appropriate, right? We want normal gaze to object, right? Maybe some little bit more sustained eye contact, but then we kind of look away. So when we say we want to facilitate eye contact, we're not looking for someone to be staring, because then that becomes socially awkward, right? And we don't want that either. We want to attend to what your child is doing, even if it's something unconventional. Follow your child's interest and lead. And I think we kind of talked about that before when I was talking about my bean kiddo. So it might not be a toy to you, but it's a toy to them. And so you want to go with their interests, because they are more likely to engage with you if you're doing something that they are interested in. That is so key. If they're not interested, they're going to tune out. Model language input just above your child's level, but avoid on-demand imitation and rapid-fire questions, right? So if you have a child that's speaking in single words, you're not going to give 5-word input. That is way too much. You want your input to stay just above theirs. So if your child is speaking single words, you want to give 2 words, right? So if they say ball, right, you might want to say big ball. Or bouncing ball, if you want to give the action, or the color, blue ball, right, red ball. So you want to keep track of that and kind of keep on top of it. I mean, it's hard, I know, because we're used to speaking in conversation and in sentences, right? But we have to kind of make that switch when we're talking to our kids with ASD, because too much language, right, that's going to make them tune out too. I don't understand what you're saying. That is way too long vocabulary. I don't know what you're asking me to do, right? I only have single words right now, and you're giving me input that's 5 words. I don't understand that, right? So we have to be cognizant of where our own language level is, right? And a lot of say ball, say box, say apple, right? All that stuff. And where is it? What's that? What is this? What is this? What is this? Right? A lot of that, right? And it's like, whoa, So you can do more comment. I like to do more commenting language, right? Oh, I see that big ball. Oh, it's bouncing high, right? So I like to comment more than ask questions, constant questions, right? Think about it. If everybody just asks you questions all day long, you kind of feel like you're being interrogated. And that's kind of not going to make them want to socially orient or join attend with you, right? Hold items next to your face to encourage eye contact and join attention. I do this a lot. When I have things like, if my farm is on the floor and we're playing with the farm and there's the cow, right, and the child picks up the cow, I'll still say moo down there, but I will take that cow, I'll say moo, and I'll put it right here, right? So I really want my lips exposed because I want them to see those speech sounds, so right here, but then it brings their eyes up so they can see the object, they can see the speech model, and it also gives you some eye contact or some more appropriate social gaze. Describe what you're doing using a variety of vocabulary. So we don't want to just talk in nouns, right? Because our language is more than that. It's actions and attributes and sensory words. I hear that. Did you hear that? I felt it. Ooh, it's squishy. It's slimy, right? It's soft. It's hard, right? So you want to make sure that you're giving a variety of language input, right? Early on, a lot of times we stick a lot to nouns and labels and things, and we kind of abandon action words and descriptives. It's really important that we do all of those in our language input. So if your child has single words, I might, do yummy or something like that for a tasting word, or trying to think, or like jump or eat for a single word, or eating or jumping. And then as you expand, maybe mommy jump, right? Or brother run, something like that. And this is true even with older kids, right? This is true even with older kids. If you're speaking too complex, that's going to be a lot of information. And so they might not be able to answer your question or retain the information because it's too much. We have a lot of kiddos that are in classrooms, and it's really hard. Sometimes teachers are not as aware of adapting their language input, and so they get lost a lot because they're not being able to process it so fast and so much, right? So it's overload, it's language overload. So we have to break it down, or repeat it, right? Or modify it somehow, give a visual with the direction. So there's lots of things that can be done. And then imitate your child's actions and words, right? So we talked about this a little bit before, but if they say something, say it back, right? Start that engagement back and forth, right? If they say something spontaneously or do something spontaneously, and you kind of get back at it with another word or a response to that, you're going to see that you're going to bring them in, you're going to have a better communicative interaction. Okay, so some additional strategies through play. You want to encourage play in different environments and with different people, right? Because we know that our kiddos with ASD often, have a hard time generalizing something to a different environment, right? So maybe they can play with something at home, but if you bring that outside, that is not supposed to be there. It is only in my living room, right? Again, that goes back to that rigidity and routine, right? So they're not used to seeing it there. It's always been here, and that's where they've had it. So you want to bring things and move them and have different people. Maybe if you only play with that toy with mom, then bring it to grandma's house, right? And have him play with it there, with her, with somebody else. The more flexibility you have, the better it is, right? Because this really helps to deal with change, right? I always tell Amanda all the time, it's good that you have a routine, but you have to help them adapt to change too, because this is the world we live in. It is always changing, right? We get super stuck in just one pattern, then what happens is then we have more breakdowns, right? Well, wait a minute, I'm supposed to go here on Wednesday. That's not supposed to happen, right? And when we're going to talk a little bit about visual schedules, and one of the things I always like to have is a question mark with a visual schedule, because that's an unknown, right? And I tell them that this question mark is a mystery or an unknown. Sometimes things change. If I give you the mystery in our schedule, that means something's different today. Maybe we're going to have art instead of music today, or maybe we are going to go to grandma's after school instead of going straight home, right? And so it's important to kind of indicate that something is changing or different. It helps them cope with a change in routine. Learn social language skills. Use everyday activities as opportunities to play. Capitalize on all opportunities for joint attention and interaction. And so really, when you're in any time you're interacting with your child is really an opportunity for social interaction. That can be at the supermarket, right? That can be at the library. It can be at the park. You can be cooking, helping you in the kitchen, right? You want to crack the egg. How much stuff goes on in the kitchen? It's awesome. There's so many actions. There's pouring and mixing and lifting and language and bowls and eggs and middle and just there's so many things. There's so many opportunities for hands-on things that make noise, right? So there's lots of really good opportunity in different contexts, right? The park, outdoor play, awesome. Love outdoor play. Outdoor play is great. You have so many things going on. It's motor, it's sensory, it's language, it's social, because he needs to turn on the ladder or on the slide, so he goes first, right? So there's all these different opportunities. So I really encourage taking play and interactions to different settings and contexts. Learning social language skills through play, such as turn-taking, sharing, and compromising, right? So, younger times, I got put up there like Tea Party, but really any other, racing ramps. Okay, my car first, right? Then your car. Or simple board games, or even like for teens, and older kiddos. There's lots of great games out there, board games, turn taking, like categories. And I know I had played Pie Face with an older kid. We had a great time. So things like that. You want to think a little bit on their level and what would be appropriate social contacts that you're looking to engage them in, whether it's conversational or turn taking or winning, losing, right? I mean, there's so many different aspects that come to those things, those social interactions. Offer choices and limit variety, create barriers or the need for your child to seek you out to obtain toys. Now, this probably is true across the lifespan. I think about this more in terms of younger kids. You don't want them to go into the playroom and have like 100 different toys out. No. Right? First of all, it's too much. Second of all, they might have one favorite toy that they go to, and that's the only toy that they'll go to, right? So you do want to offer choices, but you want to limit the variety, right? So maybe you can control the play environment a little bit by only picking like 3 or 4 toys that are accessible to them. I like to hide everything, put it up high on a shelf, put it in a see-through box, right? Why? Because then they need you, right? If they can just walk up to the toy and get it, well, why would they need to communicate with you? I just walked up and got my toy, right? So the key is to create the opportunity for them to need you to help or assist, right? And too much variety is overwhelming. And then, of course, be fun, be enthusiastic, and be their favorite toy, right? Ultimately, we want them to engage the most with you, or want you to be engaged in that play interaction. Just a little bit of a note, not all toys are created equal. This is another question I get asked time and time again, what toys are appropriate? This is probably, I would say, most SLPs would say we get, what can I get for his birthday coat, Christmas, or things like that. And this is kind of my rules here. Look for toys that encourage active play instead of passive entertainment. Toys should allow a child to learn through exploration and encourage problem solving. So I do like things that are a little bit harder to figure out. Select toys that are interesting to your child, but present new ones as well. So yeah, I mean, they might have certain things like trains that they really enjoy and love playing, but obviously we also want to get them to broaden from that, from those heavily frequented toys, and expand into playing with other things. Select toys with minimal voice and sound output, right? So all those things that light up and say 1, 2, 3 and ABC and everything, well, might be okay for some kids, but we need to do the talking. We need to do the talking because they can't see facial expression when those toys are talking, right? And there's lots of lights and stimulation. So I say less is best when it comes to toys, things that are more open-ended and do less. I really like open-ended play sets, like a farm set that has, maybe if it says new, or but even that I really don't like. I like ones that don't say it. And so yeah, so less is best. Okay, so here's like a list of some good toys to facilitate communication. Like I said, parents are always asking, what should I buy? What's the best thing to buy? And here's a good list of some things. Blocks, balls, bubbles, shape sorters, puzzles, toy fawns, baby dolls, ride-ons, cars and ramps. Notice not just cars, but ramps, because and it can go up and down, and there's language, and there's turn taking, he's going faster. So I'm always looking for the most language that I can get out of the toy. Board games and card games. Art supplies, sensory tubs like beans and rice and sand play. Water play, kitchens, tunnels, magnets, musical instruments. Books, of course, are awesome. I particularly like Lift the Flap, Touch and Feel, and Pop Up because there's an experiential side to those two. Lifting the flap, what's underneath, what's going to pop up, something that has texture or sensory aspect to it. Play-Doh and cookie cutters, things like that. A lot of parents ask me too, video games. I mean, we can't discount them. They're here to stay, and they're going to get fancier. They're going to get bigger and better. And I would say this, like obviously, we make parenting decisions that are individualized for our child. But I would say if you're playing something electronic, at least make it meaningful. So make it turn taking. Have the child explain to you what they're doing or how to do it. How do I get Mario here? What do I do? Have it be something that becomes communicative and not passive. That would be what I would say on that. Make it meaningful and social, however that is. So whether it's my turn, your turn, or whether it's talking about what's happening, or having them explain to you how to do it, right? I know for myself, I don't have any idea. Way too fancy. I'm used to like Nintendo or Atari, but not those fancy ones we have now. So I just kind of like this visual. It says there is no app to replace your lap. Read to your child. Yes, especially when it comes to reading, I think that needs to be from a person to person. That's a great way to socially connect with your kiddo. If possible, when you're reading to your child, I really like it to be two people because I like the child to be in one person's lap and then the other person being the one doing the reading so that they can see their mouth and so that they can see their expression and hear the tone of their voice and kind of see all the other elements that go into storytelling. And I know I talked about video games, so that kind of goes the same for any electronics, like screens too. And I'm not talking about using an electronic device as a communicative device. That is different. I'm talking about playing on a tablet or a video game, right? If we're using a device for communicative purposes, that's quite different than using it for play purposes. So I just want to make that distinction. Okay, so we have come to an action plan part right now. And Laura, do you want to go ahead and give the next set of questions? No, we're coming up to break soon.
Okay, so we were going to do questions 7 through 10. Just kind of talking about play. So describing your child's current play skills. And again, like Allison said, this goes across the lifespan. It might look different for older kids, but we all have hobbies, we all have sports, we all have things that we do for fun. So talking about those as well. But describing that now, so is it solitary? Are they doing a lot by themselves? Or are they doing something alongside other people, whether that be you or peers or siblings? Any approaches that you already are using, maybe some that we talked about or some other ones that you use at home. And then some ways that you might want to modify your child's play skills. So if you got any ideas based on what we just talked about, whether it be limiting something, like limiting screen time or increasing the number of times that you try to sit down and have playtime each day with your kid, whatever that might be for you guys, and any new strategies that you might incorporate at home.